My name's Tyler. I'm 26. If you'd asked me a month ago, I would have said my family was, at worst, a little bit dysfunctional, nothing major. You know, the usual stuff. A few passive-aggressive jabs around the Thanksgiving table. Mom playing favorites with my little sister Samantha, while Dad stayed completely checked out, like always. Was it annoying? Yeah. But unbearable? Not really. Then Samantha's wedding rolled around, and man, did I get a wake-up call. I realized something that day. My family didn't just have favorites, they had a main character. And spoiler alert, it sure as hell wasn't me. Here's a little backstory. Samantha's 23, and saying she's been treated like a queen her whole life is putting it lightly. This is the same girl who, when we were teenagers, threw a full-blown tantrum because my parents bought me a used car. She was furious she might not get a brand new one when she turned 16 too. Guess what? She got the brand new car. Samantha's always been the golden child, the princess, the one who could never do anything wrong, even when she absolutely did. And me? I was the older brother, the example setter. Which basically meant, work your tail off, do everything right, and get zero credit for it. If I pulled an A- on a test, my mom would just sigh and say, Tyler, you can do better. Meanwhile, if Samantha managed to scrape by with a C-, it was balloons, cake, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, I went into Samantha's wedding fully knowing I wasn't going to be the center of attention. Of course not. It was her big day. I was perfectly happy to play the role of the supportive brother, smile for the camera, keep my head down, and get through the day without any unnecessary drama. But what I didn't see coming, what I couldn't have seen coming, was just how far they'd go to make sure I knew exactly where I stood in this family. The red flags started early. First off, I found out I wasn't in the wedding party. Fine, whatever. Not every bride includes her siblings. But then I learned that Samantha's childhood best friend, some coworker, and even her fiancé's cousin's girlfriend were all in the wedding party. Yeah, that stung. Still, I tried to brush it off. Maybe she just wanted some variety or whatever. Then came the seating chart. Now, I didn't expect a spot at the head table. I'm not crazy. That's for the bride, groom, and their crew. But I figured at least I'd be seated with our family. You know, the people I've spent every holiday with my whole life. Nope. When I got to the venue and picked up my place card, I noticed something weird. My name wasn't listed with my parents. It wasn't with my aunts or cousins either. Actually, my name wasn't even on the seating chart. I had to ask one of the wedding planners where the hell I was supposed to sit. She looked at her list, gave me the tightest, most awkward smile I've ever seen, and said, "Oh, Tyler, you're, right over here." She pointed. I followed her finger, and that's when I saw it. My seat wasn't in the grand ballroom. You know, the big, beautiful room with sparkling chandeliers and tables dressed up all fancy. Nope. My seat was outside. In the hallway. By the damn coat rack. At first, I actually laughed. I thought, there's gotta be some mistake. Maybe they overbooked the tables or ran out of chairs. But no, that was my designated spot. A sad little table by the entrance, with the sweet smell of mothballs from everyone's winter coats drifting by. I turned to the planner, still half laughing, thinking this had to be a joke. You're kidding, right? She looked downright miserable. I'm really sorry, but that's where you've been assigned, she said. Assigned? Like I was getting my prison block number. Honestly, I wasn't even mad yet, just straight up confused. Was this some weird prank? Some strange wedding tradition I didn't know about? I needed answers, and I knew exactly who to ask. I found Samantha over by the bridal suite, surrounded by her friends and our mom, who was practically drooling over Samantha's dress. When Samantha spotted me, she gave me the fakest, tightest smile ever. "Oh hey, you made it," she chirped. I held up my place card. "Yeah, quick question. Why am I not seated in the reception hall?" She blinked at me, then actually giggled. "Oh, that. Yeah, we had to move a few things around last minute." "Uh-huh," I said. "And I just happened to get bumped. To the hallway?" Samantha shrugged like it was no big deal. "I mean, yeah. We had to prioritize close family at the main tables." I blinked at her. "I am close family." That's when Mom, who had been pretending not to listen, piped up in her best sweet-ass sugar voice. "Now, Tyler, don't make a scene. It's Samantha's special day." "I'm not making a scene," I said, still keeping my cool. "I'm just wondering why I'm literally stuck with the coats." And then, oh, man, Samantha dropped the bomb that officially made this the worst wedding I've ever been to. "Well, you kind of aren't really immediate family anymore," she said. I just stared at her, trying to wrap my head around what I was hearing. Excuse me, I said. She shrugged again, fixing her veil like she couldn't be bothered. You moved out years ago. You don't come around much. And you're not married or anything. It's just different now. I can't even explain the feeling that hit me right then. It wasn't just anger, it was something colder, heavier. I wasn't immediate family anymore. Because I dared to grow up and live my life? Because I wasn't married? Before I could even get a word out, another voice butted in. And that's when I saw her, Samantha's mother-in-law. I hadn't really talked to her much before that day, but the second she opened her mouth, I knew exactly what kind of person she was. The kind that eats up drama like it's their favorite snack. The type who lives for stirring the pot. She looked me up and down with this smug little smirk. Oh, you're Tyler? I was wondering whose seat that was, she said. I forced a tight smile. Yep, that's me. The sibling who apparently doesn't count. She chuckled, giving me the kind of look you usually save for a stray dog. Well, you know how weddings are. Only the most important people get the good spots. And right then, it clicked. This wasn't just Samantha's doing. Her new mother-in-law was loving every second of this. And suddenly, everything made way too much sense. This wasn't some mix-up with the seating chart. It was exactly what they wanted. This wasn't bad planning. This was done on purpose. And the second I realized it, something inside me clicked into place. I wasn't about to sit through this wedding with a fake smile. And I sure as hell wasn't leaving without making a little statement of my own. I took a long, slow breath, squeezing the place cards still crumpled in my hand. All right, I thought. If this is how they wanted to play it, fine. But they must have forgotten something. I grew up with Samantha. I knew all her dirt. All the little things she said behind people's backs when she thought nobody was listening. And most importantly, I knew one thing better than anyone. Samantha hated her new mother-in-law. Oh sure, she smiled at her face, acted sweet and polite. But once the doors were closed, whole different story. And right now, I had an audience. I turned to Samantha's mother-in-law, Linda, and gave her my best fake sympathetic smile. You know, I said real casually, it's funny. Just the other day, Samantha was so worried about the seating arrangements. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Samantha freeze. She'd been fiddling with her nails like she couldn't care less, but now, she looked like she'd been hit with a taser. Linda raised an eyebrow. Oh, I nodded, keeping my tone light and easy. Yeah, she was stressing big time. Kept saying she really didn't want certain people sitting too close to the head table. I let my words hang in the air for a second, like bait on a hook. Then I leaned in a little closer, lowering my voice like I was letting Linda in on a juicy secret. Something about not wanting her wedding photos ruined by. I turned toward Samantha, tilting my head like I was trying to remember. Oh, right, by someone's tacky dress sense. You could have heard a pin drop. Linda's smug smile vanished. Samantha went pale as a ghost. Excuse me, Linda said, her voice sharp. Samantha opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. I wasn't done. Oh, and remember how you were freaking out about the speeches? I said, turning back to Samantha. You were real worried about what certain people might say. I gave Linda a pointed look. I believe your exact words were, if she gives a speech, I swear to God, I'll lose my mind. She's so embarrassing, she'll probably make the whole thing about herself. Linda's expression darkened. Samantha made this weird, strangled noise and lunged for my arm. Can I talk to you for a second? She hissed. I pulled away, playing dumb. Why? I thought we were having a family conversation. Since, you know, I'm not immediate family and all, figured I might as well jump in somehow. Linda turned on Samantha then, eyes narrowed into slits. Is that true? She asked, voice low and dangerous. Samantha gave a shaky little laugh, shaking her head. No, of course not. Tyler is just, oh. I gasped, smacking my forehead like I just remembered something huge. Oh, and the bachelorette party, I said, turning back to Linda with wide eyes. Silly me. How could I forget that? Linda leaned in, waiting. You know, the night where Samantha spent half the time complaining about you? I said, talking about how she couldn't wait to stop pretending to be nice. How she was only tolerating you so she wouldn't start her marriage off with drama. That was the kill shot. Linda's mouth fell open. My mom, who'd been awkwardly standing off to the side this whole time, looked like she was about to pass out. My dad, who hadn't realized anything was going on until just now, took a solid step backward like he was trying to disown himself. Samantha's bridesmaids started whispering, their eyes bouncing back and forth like they were watching a tennis match. And Samantha? She looked like she was about to burst into flames. Her lips were moving, but no sound was coming out. Then Linda snapped. "You ungrateful little brat," she spat at Samantha. I had to bite my lip to keep from grinning. Because, oh man, this was about to get good. "You think you can just use me?" Linda hissed. "After everything I've done for you? All the money I spent on this wedding? All the favors I had to pull?" She flailed her arms toward the ballroom, her sparkly manicure flashing under the lights. "And the whole time, you've been running your mouth behind my back." Samantha stammered something unintelligible. Linda whirled on my parents next. "You knew about this?" she demanded. "You raised her to be this kind of snake?" My mom looked like she might actually faint. "Of course not. Samantha would never." "Oh, don't even." I cut in, shaking my head. "You knew. You just didn't care." I let out a heavy sigh, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I mean, you did raise her to think she's the center of the universe," I said. "Kind of tracks she'd start treating everyone else like trash, doesn't it?" Mom's face twisted up in anger. "Tyler, stop it," she barked. "Why?" I shot back, crossing my arms. "Because I'm making a scene? Funny how that's only a problem when it's me speaking up." Didn't seem to matter much when Samantha was busy throwing me out of her own wedding. By now, everyone was staring. The whispers were growing louder, spreading through the room like wildfire. Even the groom, who'd been missing all day, finally wandered over, looking confused as hell. "What's going on?" he asked. Linda rounded on him like a shark smelling blood. "What's going on is that your wife is a two-faced little brat who's been insulting my family this whole time." The groom blinked. "Wait, what?" Linda pointed straight at Samantha, who looked like she wanted to crawl under the nearest table. "She's been talking trash about me for months." Linda shouted, complaining about my dress, my speech, even just me being here. Said she was only putting up with me until she didn't have to anymore. The groom turned toward Samantha, slow as molasses. "You actually said that?" he asked, voice low. Samantha shook her head frantically. "No, I mean, not like that." Linda let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, not like that. Please. And here I thought you actually cared about this family," she snapped. And just like that, boom, it was a full-blown war. Linda and Samantha were screaming at each other. My mom was trying and failing to calm them down. My dad looked like he wanted to melt into the floor. The groom looked like someone had dropped a brick on his head. And me? I just stood there, sipping my champagne, watching it all go down like I was front row at a Broadway show. And you know what? It was beautiful. But the best part? The cherry on top? I wasn't done yet. Samantha's voice kept rising higher and higher, getting shriller by the second. Finally, she turned to her new husband, hands shaking, her face bright red. "You believe her over me?" she shrieked, flinging an arm wildly in my direction. Her husband, to his credit, was still trying to wrap his head around everything. His jaw was tight, his face flickering between shock and embarrassment while guests openly stared at them like it was a soap opera. "I don't even know what to say, Linda," he muttered, scrubbing his forehead with one hand. "I mean, did you actually say that stuff?" Linda scoffed. "I know. It was taken out of context," she snapped. I raised an eyebrow at that. "Out of context, huh? Oh, sure. The oldest trick in the book." I slipped into a mocking voice, complete with air quotes. "Oh no, I was just venting. Oh no, I didn't mean it that way." Then my voice dropped flat and cold. "Come on, Samantha. Give it up. You got caught." I leaned in a little. "And let's be real. If I hadn't spoken up, you wouldn't have cared at all." Linda's fury kept growing, and now she turned toward my parents, like they were her next target. "And you're just okay with this?" she demanded. Mom opened and closed her mouth like a fish out of water. She looked absolutely desperate to say something to fix the mess. We don't condone," she stammered. "Oh, cut it," I said, waving her off. "You knew exactly how Samantha felt, and you still let her play the role of the perfect daughter-in-law." I clicked my tongue, loud and slow. "Guess keeping up appearances mattered more than anything else, huh?" That's when Samantha completely lost it. "You're ruining my wedding, Tyler," she screamed. I looked around dramatically, throwing my arms out wide. "Oh, I'm ruining it? Sorry, didn't realize I was the one treating family like dirt and bad-mouthing the groom's mom." I turned to the guests, most of whom were staring at us like it was the final scene of a TV drama. "What do you guys think?" I asked, raising my voice. "Who's really to blame here?" A bunch of them quickly looked away, wanting no part of it. But I caught it. One of Samantha's own bridesmaids leaned over and whispered something to the woman next to her. That woman? She laughed out loud. Samantha spun around, furious. You think this is funny? She hissed at them. The bridesmaid just shrugged, trying not to smile. I mean, kinda? Oh, it was getting so good. Samantha's hands clenched into fists, her whole body shaking with rage. And just before she could really blow her top, I decided I was done. Honestly, I was getting bored. I let out a loud, dramatic sigh, shaking my head like I was disappointed. Well, I said, this has been lovely, really, just a fantastic experience. But I think it's time for me to head out. Samantha scoffed, throwing her arms up. Fine. Go. I grinned big and wide. Oh, don't worry. I will. Then, I turned toward the gift table, humming to myself. Took a quick scan of the expensive-looking pile, and there it was. My gift. The one I spent weeks picking out. The one I actually put effort into. You know, time, thought, money. Samantha caught where I was looking and her eyes went huge. Tyler. No. I sauntered over, grabbed my gift right off the table without a second thought. Samantha's mouth dropped open. Are you seriously taking it back? I gave her a deadpan look. Why would I leave it? Apparently, I'm not real family, remember? I gasped dramatically, clutching my chest. Oh no. What if I contaminated it with my dirty servant germs? Wouldn't want to taint your precious married life. Samantha's face turned a deep, dangerous shade of red. You're such a child, she spat. I shrugged, balancing the box under my arm. Maybe. But at least I'm not a fake, lying, two-faced brat who pretends to be sweet while stabbing people in the back. I turned to Linda, still seething nearby. Hey, Linda, good luck with this one. Personally, I give it a year. Linda actually laughed. Samantha shrieked. And with that, I turned on my heel and made my way to the exit, feeling the tension behind me like a wall. People were whispering. The music had stopped dead. The whole room had flipped from party mode to full-on disaster zone. And honestly, I was loving every second of it. When I got to the door, I paused, taking one last look back. Samantha and Linda were still arguing. Mom looked like she wanted to vanish into thin air. Dad just stood there, staring into space like he was rethinking all his life choices. And me? I gave a little wave, a smug smile tugging at my lips. Enjoy your perfect wedding, sis. Then I walked out. And I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I already knew the damage had been done. And God, it felt good. The moment those big doors shut behind me, I let out a long, slow breath and shifted the weight of the gift under my arm. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. I drove home in complete silence, letting the night soak in. Replay after replay rolled through my head, Samantha shrieking, Mom freaking out, Dad looking helpless, Linda raging. It was gold. And deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. Turns out, I was right. The next morning, my phone blew up. Calls, texts, voicemails, like my family had just remembered I existed. Mom left 7 voicemails. Her tone swung wildly from desperate to furious, like she couldn't decide if she wanted to beg or scream. Tyler, what were you thinking? You've humiliated your sister on the biggest day of her life. Call me back, now. Another message. Tyler, honey, please, we can talk about this. Just come over, we'll work it out. And another. That was the most selfish, immature thing I've ever seen. I hope you're happy. I hope you enjoyed ruining your sister's wedding. Spoiler alert. I did. I really, really did. But my sister's messages? Oh, those were even better. It's over between us. How could you do this? You ruined everything. I can't even look at my wedding photos because of you. You took back your gift? Are you serious? What kind of person does that? I hate you. I really hate you. I grinned as I scrolled through all of them, sipping my coffee like it was the finest thing I'd ever tasted. If Samantha thought a few angry texts were going to make me feel bad, she clearly didn't know me at all. But what really caught my attention? The text from my dad. Unlike Mom and Samantha, he wasn't blowing up my phone with insults or demands. His messages were short. Simple. Call me when you have a moment. I stared at the screen for a second, hesitating. Dad wasn't the type to jump into drama. He usually let Mom and Samantha run the show while he stayed in the background, keeping quiet. The fact that he was reaching out now. Yeah, that meant something. I hit call. He picked up on the second ring. Tyler, he said. Dad, I answered. Then there was this long pause, like neither of us knew how to start. Then he sighed, long and heavy. Why would you do this? He asked. I snorted. Wasn't my fault. They lit the fuse. He sighed again, and for a second, I thought he was about to lecture me. But instead, he chuckled. Low and tired. Yeah, he said. They kinda did. That stopped me cold. Wait, you agree with me? I asked. I didn't say that, he answered, but his tone was softer, quieter, different. I saw what happened, he said after a moment. I saw how your mother and your sister treated you. It wasn't right. I leaned back in my chair, staring up at the ceiling. So what? You're the only one not blaming me? There was another pause. Not the only one, he said. Turns out, the wedding didn't exactly bounce back after I walked out. The damage I caused? Yeah, it stuck. Apparently, after I blew everything up, Linda lost it. Right there in front of everyone, she tore into Samantha, demanding to know if everything I said was true. And Samantha, being Samantha, panicked. Tried to lie. Tried to act innocent. But apparently, Linda had already had her doubts about her. My little truth bomb? It was just the final nail in the coffin. By the time the reception wrapped up, Linda had pretty much disowned Samantha. And the groom? He was absolutely livid. Apparently, he thought Samantha and his mom were tight. Had no idea Samantha had been trashing her behind the scenes for months. Finding that out, right there in public? Yeah, not exactly a great start to a marriage. According to Dad, he and Samantha had a massive fight that night. Like, maybe we should rethink this whole thing level of massive. And my parents? Oh, they got caught right in the middle of the fallout. Mom tried her usual damage control routine, but Linda wasn't buying it. She straight up blamed my mom for raising a spoiled brat, told her point blank she didn't want Samantha anywhere near her family again. Total meltdown. So, what's the situation now? I asked, genuinely curious. Dad sighed again. Samantha's, well, she's not handling it well. I rolled my eyes. Shocker. Dad continued, his voice heavy. She's blaming you for everything. She thinks if you hadn't said anything, none of this would have happened. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Of course she does. God forbid she actually take responsibility for once in her life. There was a beat of silence. Then Dad said, she wants you to apologize. I choked on my coffee. Apologize. She thinks it's the only way to fix things, he said. She thinks if you just take the blame, maybe Linda will forgive her and everything can go back to normal. I was laughing so hard I nearly dropped my mug. Yeah, that's not happening, I said. I figured, Dad replied, and then, in a lower voice. And honestly, I don't think you should, anyway. I froze. Wait, seriously? I told you, Tyler, he said, voice steady. I saw what happened. And honestly, maybe it's about time someone finally called her out. That meant more to me than I wanted to admit. So, what now? I asked. Dad sighed again, tired. Your mom's still trying to patch things up with Linda. But honestly, I don't think it's gonna work. Linda's furious. The groom's barely talking to Samantha. And Samantha, well? He trailed off. She's a mess, he said finally. Good. I didn't say it out loud, but I wasn't gonna lie to myself about it either. My sister had spent years making me feel invisible. Like I was never good enough. Like I didn't belong. And now? Now she was finally facing the consequences. It was about damn time. Anyway, Dad said, wrapping it up, I just thought you should know what's going on. Your mom's probably gonna try calling you again. She can try, I said with a shrug. I'm not answering. Dad let out a short, low laugh. Can't say I blame you. And that was that. It's been a few weeks since the wedding now, and honestly, I haven't spoken to my sister since. She's still refusing to take any responsibility. Still blaming me for everything. Still somehow expecting me to fix it. But I won't. I don't regret a single thing I did. Not one word I said. If anything, I'm proud of it. As for the marriage, well, let's just say, I won't be shocked if it doesn't make it through the year. So, what do you guys think? Was I too petty? Should I have just played along? Or did my sister finally get exactly what she deserved? Let me know. I could use a good laugh.